Looks like someone drew a potato again on the front of my camera. There's no computer animated bits have been added to this. This is real. This is actually what it really looks like. It's all right. I just thought I'd be really quickly with the some of the things that we've seen, and again the things we're looking towards and leaning maybe towards, or the things we're having to think several times very carefully about. But one example recently is CAR T therapy, which is a type of immunotherapy. We have been told that immunotherapy is not looking like it's working. I know other people are going to say that's different advice. I know that we get lots of contradictory information, but you know that immunotherapy is not one of these ones that's very in advance really for GBM. So, forgive me if I say something other people are going to say that's completely wrong that you've said there. But what I'm saying is that it is true, and especially in my position, what doesn't react very much, and can change very quickly. So anything that I get, like immunotherapy, it can just not affect it, or not be very very effective. So again, we're trying to keep. Trying to look at the all alternative different things we're trying to do to keep everything at bay. So, but the CAR T therapy ones, it's a good example that I wanted to just say, because it's one of these where it's like if you read it briefly or learn something, you think, oh, it looks like potentially very very exciting, and it has been really quite effective for a few people. And then you look on the other side of it, that actually there's only been a very very small people amount in a very it's still quite early in terms of research for these. And I think the one that we've seen recently was, I think I'm sure it was like 3 pupils, and I might be wrong. That might not be quite right, but equally there is a placebo. They'll always. Even if I manage to get myself onto what might be quite an exciting study for these, there'll be placebos within that. And also, it might be, it's like, these are the ideas, things we're looking at potentially having, but if you go for one, they will then not want you to have any of these other things, or lots of these other things, because you don't want any tests that could afflict each other. So so it's the same with lots of things. Same like what they're called, the ones that I said before, they're like a hat. It's a hat that you wear, and you try and wear it 22 of your days, of the hours a day. They're very expensive, but it's one of the most effective things that they have seen. But again, I've not an MRI yet to check to see if anything's come back or not. It's not to have any of that yet, but I don't know any of those things yet, because we're still still with time after radiotherapy and doing chemo. So there will be one within a few weeks to have a look, but it's hard, it's very difficult to tell whether or not one's growing, or whether it's kind of grown back, or whether it's from the radiotherapy. So they have to have this gap, have to have this kind of pause almost before you have an MRI checking for any of these to see where these things are, which it's kind of infuriating, not infuriating, but difficult, because I could go for one of those hat things, and it's about £18,000 a month, forever. Potentially the potential ways of doing this, but it is about that kind of money. And if I have one of these and then look within a month or 2 months or whenever we do the MRI and they say, oh yeah, it's already grown back, then it's kind of a big waste, in lots of ways, kind of a waste of money, because they're a lot more effective if they work before anything's grown back. So that money of that can be sort of gone. Or DC Vax, again, is in lots of ways is very positive and very, very good. And yet, but then on the other side, we've seen the reading of my the minutiae details of the actual specific GBM in the first place is a very complex one that doesn't react very well at all to C-DVAX. So it's another one where I could go early, have this working, then a couple of down the line, as we kind of, whenever it's already there or it's already kind of going back, then it's another one where it's a huge amount of money, but it now it's going to affect very not effective because it was already back. I'll probably not explain that very well, but the point is there's lots of different ways of doing this. It just means everything we look at is equally more and more complicated, and lots of people send us things, but it's a huge amount of researching and checking and then trying to not have things that affect what I'm taking every day, to try and like a broad wide number of different things I'm trying to take all the time, which I keep saying, but yeah. With that said, I'm really afraid I explained a lot of things there, but other than we are genuinely looking at all these times and still trying to have a life and think about life and the world and all of those things. So it's all kind of, yeah. There's other things, like I said, we're going to be having the genome done by a very quite exciting, the genome thing, which is very important to get some very difficult these very difficult I can't remember what I was going to say now. Oh yeah, the genome things. It's very difficult to have taken, but I can have it done. We can have this. We're fortunate. We can have money of, but I think it's about £5,000 to have that done properly. And we found this place that looks. This is a very complicated example. And then there's another one, and I always forget what the other one's called. It's about another another 7,000, I think, or 8,000 pounds worth to have this, again, really complicated thing to have to be made. It can take a long time to have made, but it will look very, very close at the details, which to me is exciting, even if we don't really know what it means, or what it can be used for. But I think what I'm trying to say is what this means is if we keep trying to have all these different things to try and keep this thing at bay, that if we're pressing these other buttons, these correct other buttons, and doing these other research and keeping like a real positively well-working brain and things, then it feels like there's very clever people that are working at these things, and that because of everything they're waiting for us that we've got ready to help us, it will get to a point where it's going to be right. It's going to be this much money and it's going to be to do this, and it looks very, very exciting, and it might be playing a bit of a waiting thing, but there are clever people across the world, and we're working towards these things. But anyway, I don't want to talk for another 5 minutes of kind of nonsense, but not nonsense. It was really good to speak to some other people who are from this. A lot of people with different kinds of similar things as me, and I've got a huge out. I got a huge out of speaking to these people and seeing people nodding, and I found myself nodding at different people who find things difficult and find things hard, and but you know, are doing lots of things. There's one guy, he ran a year ago, like a marathon during in the middle of doing his chemo, and I didn't think I had much of a constitution for the ability to kind of take that and just be like, right, just get up and keep moving. And there's 1 or 2 days that are a bit rough. This guy I don't know how he did it, but yeah. People keep sending me lovely messages and making notes or responding to things, which is always lovely. So and it really does help to speak to people. So please feel free to do that. But yeah, for now that would have to do for now. And again, I'll one of these days it'll make a lot of this will make sense all in one go. All right. Thanks very much.